Millionaire discovers incredible, touching moment at home, his children's hidden talents exposed. Tom Harrington stood in his sprawling Oak Park mansion, the walls adorned with awards and accolades that shimmered like gold, but felt like shackles. At 45, he was the quintessential American dream, with luxury cars lined up like trophies outside his garage. But as each passing day blurred into the next, the laughter of his two children, 12-year-old Jake and 10-year-old Mia, became a haunting echo in the quiet halls. They used to play and sing, filling the house with unrefined joy. Yet now, the silence felt heavy, almost suffocating. After a grueling week brimming with back-to-back meetings that pressed down on his heart like a lead weight, Tom needed a distraction. Scavenging through an old, musty closet, he stumbled upon a dusty VHS tape. It was astonishingly labeled, Family Memories. Maybe it was a sign. With a mixture of hope and dread, he popped it into the ancient player, and as the screen flickered to life, a rush of nostalgia filled the room. Suddenly, the images burst forth, Jake belting out off-key notes of his favorite Disney songs, Mia transforming blank canvases into vibrant dreams with swirling colors. Their laughter was a symphony, each giggle striking a chord deep within his chest. Tom's heart tightened, and he recognized the painful truth. Amidst his pursuit of wealth and success, he had neglected the true treasures of his life, the ones that mattered the most. He felt a surge of determination. What if he could turn this around? What if he could reconnect with Jake and Mia? Inspired, Tom envisioned throwing a grand community talent show, a night filled with creativity, laughter, and celebration. He hoped it would reignite warmth and joy in their home. As he planned, neighbors buzzed with excitement, reminiscing about the gatherings of the past, community spirit, togetherness, and happiness all wrapped up in one beautiful evening. Yet, as the date grew closer, doubt gnawed at him. Would Jake and Mia feel pressured? Would his own expectations suffocate their potential? The night of the talent show arrived, and the yard overflowed with families, laughter ringing out like a joyous melody. Tom's pulse quickened. He shared a glance with Jake and Mia, who seemed excited yet apprehensive, their bright eyes glancing at the crowd. As they stepped onto the stage, lights blared down, revealing their hidden talents. Jake's voice soared, raw and truthful, filling the space with a warmth that could melt any worries away. Mia danced with her paintbrush, colors flying across the canvas like fireworks in a summer sky. The crowd erupted in applause, faces shining with pride and joy. Tom's heart swelled. He was witnessing not just his children's talents, but their authentic selves shining through. However, amid the celebration, he caught a flicker of uncertainty in Mia's eyes and the tension tightening Jake's features. Were they truly free? Or were they still caught in the snare of his ambitions? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as the final act ended and cheers erupted, an uncomfortable silence coiled around Tom. Questions flooded his mind. Could he allow Jake and Mia to shine in their individuality, unburdened by expectations? Or would he continue to let societal standards dictate their worth? The air buzzed with joy, but Tom knew the journey toward healing was just beginning. Their talents had emerged, but the bond of their family still had much ground to cover. The stars of hope twinkled overhead, faint yet promising, as if waiting to be named. Tom stood on the edge of the stage, the applause still echoing in his ears, but something gnawed at him like a stray thread threatening to unravel. He watched as Jake and Mia basked in the warmth of their triumph, yet the shadows of doubt lingered just behind their smiles. It was a festival, yes, but beneath the festive celebration was an unsteady foundation they all needed to address. He stepped away from the crowd, seeking momentary refuge in the serenity of the night. The moon hung low, casting silvery reflections on the manicured grass. It was calming. He took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill his lungs. The world outside was aglow with possibilities, yet uncertainty haunted him. "Dad?" Mia's soft voice pierced the silence, pulling him back into the vibrant reality of the talent show. He turned to find her standing at the edge of the stage with Jake, their faces illuminated in the orange glow of the street lamps. A mix of relief and concern washed over him as they approached. "I was amazing, wasn't I?" Jake asked, his youthful confidence beginning to show, but the edge of doubt still etched on his brow. "You were incredible," Tom replied, squatting to meet his son's eyes. "I was so proud of you both." Mia was quiet. She clutched her paintbrush like it was an extension of herself, a secret kept even from her father. "But, did you like it? I mean, really like it?" she asked slowly, as if weighing every word carefully. Tom's heart twisted. "Of course I did. Your painting was beautiful, Mia. It was you. Just you." He searched for the right words, wanting to ensure they understood he saw beyond the performances. "But I want to know, do you feel like you enjoyed it?" She hesitated, glancing at Jake. "Sometimes I felt like I was just painting what everyone expected me to paint." Jake nodded, an understanding passing between them that Tom couldn't quite grasp. "Yeah, like I was supposed to sing the right songs, not just the ones I love." The sting of their realization hit him hard. These acts of wonder had led them to momentary joy, yet beneath it all, they felt constricted. The talent show, intended to be an exhibition of freedom, had inadvertently turned into a performance dictated by expectations, a mirror reflecting all the pressures he had once wished to shed. As Tom listened, he felt a weight lift, replaced by a fervent desire to change. "You both have so much more inside you. I want you to feel free to be yourselves," he said, voice thick with emotion. "Let's make art together, choose music that speaks to you, and make this a real expression of who you are, no matter how different it might be." Jake's face lit up. "You mean like a family art project?" "Exactly. A real collaboration where no idea is too crazy. We can turn this backyard into our canvas. We paint, we sing, and we share it, without worrying about pleasing anyone except ourselves." The thought felt liberating, igniting a spark in his chest he hadn't felt in years. Mia's smile returned, a hopeful glow lighting her expression. "And we can make it about what we love." As they stood beneath the twinkling stars, Tom's heart brimmed with a newfound commitment. They were ready to explore their voices together, not merely as a way to please or impress, but as a way to reconnect as a family. But just as the idea blossomed, Tom sensed an undercurrent of fear creeping in. Fear of not knowing if he could truly let them be free, if he would trust them to explore without his oversight. "Will we really be okay?" Mia whispered, biting her lip, her wide eyes searching for assurance. Tom's heart clenched. Would they find their way? Or would his past overshadow their future? The night felt vast, and he recognized that their journey was only just beginning. "Absolutely. Together we will be okay," he promised. But deep down, he knew the hardest lessons were yet to be learned. And as they leaned in for a group hug beneath the stars, a nagging thought lingered in Tom's mind. Could he truly embrace this journey of self-discovery, or would he falter once again? In the days that followed, the backyard transformed into a riot of color and laughter. Tom, Jake, and Mia dove headfirst into the promise they had made. Old furniture accumulated around the yard, forming a makeshift studio and a stage for their newfound creativity. They repurposed everything. An old picnic table became an easel, and weathered crates morphed into seats. Each morning, they staked their claim to the outdoor space, pouring their hearts into their projects with unyielding enthusiasm. Mia was the first to spark something magical. With each dip of her brush, she layered vibrant colors, focusing on the world around her. Flowers bloomed in hues that danced just as playfully as her spirit. She painted everything she saw, the fluttering butterflies and the clouds drifting lazily across the sun-splashed sky. Tom marveled at how her artwork breathed life into the mundane. It was as if she were unveiling a hidden beauty each day. Jake, on the other hand, tackled the music. He commandeered his dad's old guitar, strumming together chords with a newfound ease. It echoed through the yard, often accompanied by laughter as he sang silly lyrics that made Mia giggle. He began to write his own songs, pouring out his feelings in melodies that echoed the rhythm of their days. There was a brightness in his chest, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, he was on the cusp of discovering his real self through music. Yet, in the midst of this joy, an emotional ambivalence clung to the air. Tom found moments of self-doubt creeping in. As much as he cheered them on, he worried. Could they preserve this freedom? Would they stumble on the very fears he had fought so hard to escape? There was a slightly more hesitated strum in Jake's guitar when the boys from school passed by, and Mia often glanced sideways, unsure if her colors were bright enough. It reminded him of his own childhood, of the times he felt the press of expectations weighing heavily on his shoulders. One evening, as twilight painted the sky with deep purples and blues, Tom gathered the kids around him. It was time for a family jam session, an idea he had been toying with for days. He took a deep breath, putting his doubts aside. "Tonight, let's show each other the songs we've written," he suggested. "No judgments, just us." Mia shuffled her feet. "And what if it's bad?" she asked, biting her lip again, the vulnerability slipping through her usually confident facade. "Bad? No such thing," Tom replied, injecting as much enthusiasm into his voice as he could muster. "It's all about having fun. This is our space to explore." Jake nodded, his fingers plucking a few uncertain notes. "Yeah, what if we just pretend we're in our own world?" With a nervous yet excited breath, each of them took turns. Mia opened, her voice soft yet rich like the warm hues of her paintings. She sang about light breaking through darkness, a theme inspired by her own journey. The words flowed freely, a revelation of what she had been feeling, and along with them, Tom felt his own heart swelling. Then it was Jake's turn. He poured out a song about feeling stuck, but wanting to break free, a sincere reflection of his inner struggles. As he sang, Tom watched his son wrestle with emotions he had once kept bottled up, the lyrics spilling honesty into the air. They followed with laughter, improvisation, and little side jokes. The shadows of doubt waned, pulled apart by the brilliance of their connections. But as night fell and the stars claimed the sky, Tom felt a familiar flicker of unease. Something whispered that their honesty might not be enough to silence the world outside. How long could they protect this bubble of creativity and truth? "Will it always be like this?" Mia murmured, brushing her paint-speckled fingers together nervously after their session, a question hanging heavily in the crisp night air. "I hope so," Tom replied, but fear lurked beneath his answer. Would they always find solace in these moments? Or would they eventually drift away from the light they had ignited together? Little did he know. The answers awaited just beyond the horizon, ready to challenge everything they thought they understood about their journey. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the yard like liquid gold, warming the vibrant artwork Mia had created. Tom watched her as she stood before her easel, paintbrush dancing across the canvas. The colors swirled together, vibrant and alive. Not just flowers, but visions of dreams and possibilities. It filled Tom with a sense of hope, but an underlying anxiety still gnawed at him. That night's session echoed in his mind. The question Mia had asked lingered like a shadow he couldn't shake. As the day unfolded, Jake brought out his guitar, the strings catching the sunlight with a glimmer. He strummed a new melody, something deeper this time, tinged with emotion and a touch of worry. The notes echoed softly around them, a symphony reflecting the quiet breeze. "Hey, how about we turn our jam session into something bigger?" he suggested, his voice light but earnest. "What do you mean?" Mia asked, curiosity piqued. "What if we had an art and music day? Invite the neighborhood over, show them what we can do." Jake grinned, his confidence shining through. Tom felt a spark of excitement at the idea, but with it came a surge of dread. How would the outside world react to their creations? Would the kids feel the weight of judgment he had so often felt? Mia's eyes widened. "That could be amazing," she exclaimed. Yet there it was again. Her excitement mingled with fear. What if they think it's not good enough? "Remember what we said? No judgments," Tom reminded her, mustering a cheerful tone. "But we can practice a lot before we do it. We'll put our best foot forward." Jake bounced on his toes. "Yeah, let's make this our moment. We can show what we're capable of." With a fierce determination, they plunged into preparations. The next few days were a blur of creativity. The yard buzzed like a hive. Mia painted murals that spilled over the garden's fences. Jake composed songs layered with heart and hope. Each evening they came together, supporting each other, laughter spilling into the night. But with each passing day, Tom's unease simmered just beneath the surface. He could feel the world creeping closer, the shadows of self-doubt returning, lurking in the back of his mind. The more excited Mia and Jake became, the louder his inner voice seemed to shout, trying to bring them back to a safer place. As if sensing his turmoil, Mia approached him one afternoon, her paint-stained fingers clasped nervously in front of her. "Dad, are you okay?" Tom hesitated, wondering how to respond. "I am just worried. I don't want you guys to get hurt if people don't understand your art." Mia shook her head. "But isn't that the point? To share who we are?" Just then, Jake leaned in, joining the conversation. "Yeah, Dad. We won't let fear stop us. We're going to be brave." He marveled at their strength, their ability to face the unknown head-on. Yet, the battle inside him raged on. "Bravery is just doing what we love despite the fear," he murmured. The day of their event approached. Anticipation swirled through them, a mix of eagerness and anxiety. On the morning of the showcase, the sky blazed with color. It felt like a cue from the universe. But as Tom watched children arrive, laughter cascading into the air, he felt his heart race. Would their creations truly connect with others? Would they be enough? He could see Jake's fingers tremble slightly as he made last-minute adjustments to his guitar. Mia looked small amid her vibrant artwork, her blend of colors seeming to whisper doubts. But just before they started, Mia turned to him, eyes wide and shimmering with expectation. "Do you think they'll like it, Dad?" Tom took a deep breath, grounding himself in their shared promise. "I think they're going to love it. Because it's you two. It's real." But even as he spoke, a rustle in the bushes caught his attention. A shadow loomed just outside the yard. Something familiar. Something that could change everything. He turned, heart pounding, ready to face whatever stood on the brink of their fragile, colorful world. Tom's gaze sharpened, his pulse quickening as he crept toward the rustling sound. The sunlight felt different now, less warm and inviting, as a chill edged into the bright morning. The shadows deepened, stretching unnaturally as he squinted, trying to make sense of what lurked among the foliage. "Mia, Jake," he called, urgency coloring his tone. The kids paused, confusion flickering across their faces. Tommy's heart raced, his protective instincts surging. Whatever it was could disrupt the beautiful moment they had crafted. Before he could reach for them, a figure emerged. It wasn't just any figure. It was Lucy, their neighbor, dragging an old, worn easel behind her. The sun caught the glistening of her teary eyes, a beacon of vulnerability that matched the trembling hands gripping the easel. Tom sighed in relief, but the anxiety in his chest didn't wane. "Hey, I saw you all setting up from my window," she began, voice shaky. "I wanted to come and share this with you." Beneath the surface of her perfect smile, Tom could see the fear of judgment, fear of failure. It resonated and reminded him of his own worries for Mia and Jake. "What do you mean?" Mia asked, stepping closer, her curiosity piqued again. "I brought something I've been working on for a while now." Lucy hesitated, glancing down at the easel. After a deep breath, she revealed a breathtaking painting, a sprawling landscape filled with vibrant colors. It was like a window into her soul, powerful and raw. Tom felt his heart swell, and yet sour all at once. Here was Lucy, standing tall despite her fears, and the weight of his own apprehensions dulled for a moment. "It's beautiful," he managed to say, stepping closer to admire her work. Mia and Jake started to gather around, captivated by the sight. Lucy's flush deepened, embarrassment creeping in as she spoke. "I never thought I could show anyone, but seeing you all working on your art inspired me. It reminded me that we all have something to share." Jake grinned and leaned his shoulder into Mia. "See? Everyone has something valuable to offer." The atmosphere shifted, an electricity building among them, fueling creativity and connection. Lucy's courage sparked a new fire in Tom's heart. The children inspired each other, and he realized their display wouldn't just be about their success, but about community, about bravery and vulnerability. "Why don't you join us? We'd love to have you." Mia beamed, her confidence shining, a mirror reflecting Lucy's bravery back onto her. Tom's chest swelled with pride. It wasn't just about art anymore. It was about creating a safe haven for everyone. A place bubbling with creativity where fear could be put aside. As the four of them took a step back, musing over ideas of collaboration for their showcase, the tentative whispers of the crowd turned into supportive murmurs. Each face brought a myriad of emotions: curiosity, excitement, and even relief, as they realized they weren't alone in their fears. But just as a wave of joy washed over Tom, he caught a glimpse of someone peering through the fence, a figure cloaked in shadow. The unfamiliar face held a knowing stare, and Tom couldn't shake the feeling that they held a secret, a potential threat to everything they had just built. Who was this newcomer, and what did they want? The uncertainty tightened in his gut as the excitement of the day loomed ahead. Tom's heart drummed an uneasy rhythm. What truth did this moment hold, and how many layers of fear still needed unraveling? Tom stood frozen for a heartbeat, the shadows flickering across his face as he narrowed his eyes at the figure. The stranger remained still, the faintest glimmer of intrigue shadowing their features. Tom's instincts shot to the forefront. Something about the way they loomed there, half hidden, ignited a flicker of unease inside him. "What's wrong, Dad?" Mia's concerned voice broke through his trance. He turned to see her wide eyes fixed on him, her budding confidence from moments before fading into confusion. "Just a strange person over there," he replied, forcing a smile as he gestured vaguely. He didn't want to alarm the kids. "Why don't you and Jake go work on our banners for the showcase? But we want to stay with you." Jake's voice was firm, loyalty shining through his dimples. "It's more fun together." Tom knew the feeling. Just moments ago, their unity had been electric, but the stranger's presence threatened to short-circuit that energy. His heart wavered between protecting his children and engaging with the unknown. "You can help me by preparing our artwork. Together. I promise I'll be right here, watching," Tom said, trying to inject enthusiasm into his words. Each child hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. As they turned away, Tom's gaze lingered on the figure, whose presence felt like a dark cloud against the bright atmosphere they had built. Could they be here to sabotage their efforts? His mind raced, burdened by his protective instincts, conjuring visions of confrontation. "What's the deal with that person?" Lucy whispered, stepping closer to Tom, her painting still perched atop the easel, colors still vibrant but now overshadowed by tension. "I don't know," Tom muttered, keeping his voice low. "But I have a feeling we should keep an eye out." With a cautious step, Tom approached the fence, determination pulsing through him. "Hey!" he called out, his voice edging toward authority. "Can I help you?" The figure shifted slightly, revealing a face that told a story of pain mixed with longing. The sun reflected off the stranger's glasses, hiding their emotions, but not their hurt. Tom's heart softened for just a moment, the apprehension blending with curiosity. The figure hesitated, their voice almost lost in the warm breeze. "I'm just looking." "Looking at what?" Tom pressed, unable to quell the rising sense of responsibility for those around him. "Art," they whispered. "Your art. It reminded me of lost things." The words hung heavily in the air, and a wave of pity washed over Tom. "What do you mean?" The stranger took a step forward, the shadows retreating slightly, revealing more of their features. "I used to paint too. Before everything changed." Tom felt a surge of compassion. "What happened?" he asked, stepping closer, his heart softening even more. The figure glanced at the children, joy and innocence gilding their actions as they prepared their artwork with zeal. "Life got in the way, and I lost my way." Tom's pulse beat steadily now, but he felt compelled to pursue this connection. "You can come and join us. We're sharing our art today." "I don't know if I can." The figure looked defeated, a blank canvas against vibrant colors. "It's been a long time. Sometimes all it takes is a little push," Tom said, thinking of Mia and Jake and their courage. "Just like Lucy took, just like they did." The stranger hesitated, breaths heavy with fear, but Tom sensed a flicker of hope. Suddenly, the sound of laughter and chatter beckoned him back to the kids, a stark contrast to the sadness before him. "Take your time," he urged gently. "But you don't have to paint alone anymore." As the stranger lingered at the edge of their world, Tom felt a different kind of tension building. Could they inspire change? Or would they remain lost in their shadows? Tom turned back to the children, exhilarated yet heavy with apprehension. He glanced back once more. The figure was still there, the glow of uncertain promise flickering in their eyes. What would unfold if they chose to step forward? And how would it change everything they had worked so hard to create? Tom turned back to the table where Mia and Jake were busy wrapping their arms around the colorful banners, laughter filling the air. But his heart was still pounding, the weight of the stranger's story lingering in his mind. There was a deep yearning in that voice, an echo of dreams that once thrived but now stood like wilted flowers, forgotten. "Can you help me with this, Dad?" Mia's call pulled him back to the present. She held out a paintbrush, glistening with red ink, a small smudge on her cheek, a mark of her dedication. "Of course," Tom replied, a half smile breaking through his worries. He quickly immersed himself back into the joy of the moment, joining their laughter, shaping their vision for the showcase. But the figure loomed nearby, an uninvited thought that anchored his mind. Every laugh from Mia and Jake seemed to reach toward the stranger, bringing to light the contrast between their innocent creativity and the heaviness that gripped the other person. Just as Tom began to forget, the figure took a step forward, an almost imperceptible shift, yet monumental in the silent air. Tom's instincts surged again, a battle of fear and hope raging within him. "Excuse me," he called, drawing the attention of his children. More curious than frightened now, they watched as the stranger approached. With a shaky breath, the figure stood before them. Is it okay if I watch you paint? Their voice trembling but guarded, they seemed both eager and terrified. Of course, Mia chirped, her eyes brightening. You can even join us. The stranger's face flickered with uncertainty. I don't know how. I haven't done this in so long. Come on, Jake said, grabbing some brushes and pulling them nearer. It's fun. You can create anything you want, just like we are. Tom felt a swell of pride for his kids. They had a way of shining light on even the darkest corners. It was contagious, like a ripple spreading through their small circle of creativity. Taking a deep breath, the figure stepped closer. Really? You wouldn't mind? Not at all, Tom said, stepping aside to create space. His heart raced with hope as the stranger fidgeted with the paintbrush like it was a lifeline. With every process, every cautious movement from the stranger, Tom found himself holding on to the possibility before him. Each stroke made on the canvas was a part of a journey, revealing when the stranger painted flowers, colorful, chaotic, but breathtaking. See? It's beautiful. Mia danced around, the joy radiating as colors blended into forms that emerged from nostalgia and sorrow. Tom watched, amazed. The figure's face transformed, lines of sorrow taking on a softer glow. The act of creating released the hidden vibrancy that had lay dormant for so long, but as a fleeting moment of joy passed, Tom's phone buzzed imperatively in his pocket, a reminder that reality had its grasp on their lives. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen that painted love and concern all at once. With a heavy sigh, he recalled the responsibilities that awaited him. He looked toward the stranger, who had begun to laugh at the discovery of their own creativity, their spirit reinvigorated with colors once abandoned. Can you stay? Mia pleaded, her voice filled with innocence. Tom turned to gauge the tension in the air. The choice now stood before them like an open doorway. Could the stranger embrace this momentary liberation, or would they retreat back into their shadows? What do you think? Tom asked, feeling a fight between hope and despair gripping the recesses of his heart. The figure faltered, but met their gaze, searching for answers. Maybe his heart raced. Would they take that step? Would the colors of their life blend with those of Tom and his children? Just then, laughter erupted from the group in the distance, pulling them back into the present. It was a moment fraught with anticipation, yet the question lingered. What if this was a turning point? Would the stranger choose connection over fear? And how would that single decision ripple through the lives of everyone gathered that day? As the laughter from the distant group faded, the atmosphere shifted, thickening with unspoken words and hopes. Tom held his breath, a moment suspended in time as he studied the stranger. They seemed to shrink back at the weight of that choice, the vibrant paintbrush trembling slightly between their fingers. Do you like flowers? Mia asked suddenly, her voice bright and innocent. We can paint a huge garden, or a forest with magical creatures. She gestured dramatically, the excitement in her eyes igniting new energy in the air. The figure glanced down, almost unsure if such whimsical possibilities still belonged to someone like them. Tom's heart sank slightly. He recognized that flicker of self-doubt. It reminded him all too well of days when a lack of confidence seeped into his own life, clouding joy with hesitation. Jake, always quick to lighten the mood, stepped in. Yeah, just imagine the critters that can live there, waking up every day to the best view ever. His arms flew wide, and a broad smile spread across his face. Tom couldn't help but smile along, holding on to the hope that this offering of imagination might pull the stranger from their shell. Okay, the stranger finally whispered, a hint of a smile breaking through. Let's try it. As they dipped the brush into vivid greens and sunny yellows, it was as if a light turned on within them. Each stroke grew bolder, and the blooms unfurled on the canvas under their tentative fingertips. The laughter came back, nervous but real, pouring from the stranger's lips, echoing Mia's. The surrounding magic crept back into their presence as the garden came alive in colors swirling across the white space. Tom caught himself tearing up, moved by the simple act of creation. It was a tapestry woven out of each heartbeat, connecting their lives in ways that words often failed. The solitude that had once anchored the stranger began to chip away, melting into a shared experience filled with promise and beauty. What had started as hesitation transformed into an enthusiastic relay of colors, where the children danced around the stranger like butterflies drawn to nectar. "The flowers need some butterflies," Mia exclaimed, reaching for more paint, thrusting a brush toward the stranger. "Here, you can add some." Jake laughed, already spreading splatters of bright hues on the canvas. The stranger hesitated, looking at the festivity unfurling around them. But then, with a deep breath, they exhaled old fears alongside the newest strokes of lavender and blue. "Watch this," they said, and with a grin, they painted a huge yellow sun rising over their blossoming garden. It was a bold choice, full of warmth and brightness that spread like warmth within the group. In that moment, everything shifted, and Tom felt like watching a miracle unfold. The laughter, the smudged paint, and the shared experience seemed to bring more than just art to life. It became a reaffirmation of connection, a reminder that in every corner of despair, hope could blossom anew. "I wish we could make this every day," Mia chirped, her eyes sparkling. The words hung in the air like a challenge, and Tom's heart thumped loudly with a mix of joy and regret. The responsibilities waiting for him had grown heavier, pulling him back to the ticking clock of reality. "I can't stay forever," he murmured quietly, but his voice held a warmth that provided comfort. It was not just a goodbye. It was more of a promise wrapped in hope. "Maybe you can come back," the stranger said, glancing shyly, their newfound confidence flickering like a candle, but still alive. Tom clutched the phone in his hand, now so very aware of the decision still looming large within him. The horizon of possibility was painted wide open before them, but he had to confront his own commitments. As the sun began to set, casting golden light upon their makeshift garden, a new layer of emotion enveloped everything, pushing him closer to a decision. How do you choose between the present joy and the obligations of tomorrow? What if this moment could be just a glimpse of a brighter future? The sound of children laughing filled his ears, and as he watched the stranger find joy, Tom knew that this day would linger in his heart long after it ended. Would he seize this moment and let it resonate, or let it slip away like so many before? His hand hovered over the phone, uncertainty gnawing at his resolve. What would happen if he stepped fully into this new connection? And when exactly would he find the courage to take that leap of faith? The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow over their painted garden. Tom watched as the children danced with glee, their laughter ringing like music. But each peal of joy tugged at him, reminding him of the weight on his own shoulders. Would he really go back to his old life? The life that felt more like a cage than a haven lately? The stranger, he still didn't know their name, stood at the edge of this vibrant world they had all created together. Their brush hung lightly in their fingers, a little paint still smearing the sides of their hands. It was a small sign of their willingness to be a part of something larger than themselves, to be seen and accepted. Tom could sense their longing to belong, silent but powerful. "Let's add more flowers," Mia shouted, sprinting towards the stranger. "We can make them pink and purple and blue." Her enthusiasm was infectious. The more the merrier. Tom marveled at Mia's determination to include the stranger, wishing he could find that same boldness to cast off his own doubts. "We could even paint a rainbow," Jake chimed in, already imagining the bright colors sprawling across the canvas. The stranger hesitated, glancing towards Tom, seeking assurance. His heart raced as their eyes met. What could he do? He could either affirm their courage or reveal his own fears. "Do it. Paint whatever your heart wants," Tom said, the words pouring out before he could second-guess them. This is your garden too." The stranger's eyes widened, glimmering with something. Hope, perhaps. It was beautiful to witness. They took a step forward, dipping the brush into a pot of rich pink paint. With each stroke, they transformed not only the canvas, but the atmosphere too. The garden seemed to breathe deeper, the colors pulsing with life. "That's amazing!" Mia and Jake cheered, clapping their hands. Tom couldn't help but feel that this was more than just painting. It was an act of reclaiming joy, breaking free from the shadows of past hurt. "Can I add something?" Tom called out, surprising himself. With newfound courage ignited by this moment, he grabbed a brush. The children clapped again, and even the stranger smiled wider. "Yes, we need your magic too," Jake cried, laughing again as he shoved a brush into Tom's hand. Tom hesitated, but then a thought struck him. He wanted to contribute to this beautiful creation, something that would represent their collective spirit. With quick strokes, he painted over the edges, creating movement around the already chosen flowers and dancing animals. Time faded away, and he became absorbed in every bright hue. "See? We're all in this together," Tom exclaimed, feeling a connection to the stranger solidifying. Each shared breath in this fleeting moment tickled their frayed edges, pulling them into unity. The stranger's hand brushed against Tom's, and their eyes locked once again. "It feels freeing," they said, their voice barely above a whisper. "Like I can breathe properly again." It hit Tom hard, their pain layered with his own. "It is freeing, isn't it?" he replied quietly, feeling the shared vulnerability wrap around them like a warm blanket. But just then, the distant sound of a car engine pierced the peaceful ambiance. The reality of life outside this canvas rushed back in, heavy and demanding. Tom's heart sank as he remembered the chores still waiting at home, the responsibilities looming large. "What if," he thought, swallowing hard against the knot forming in his throat. "What if I didn't have to go?" The uncertainty loomed again, mixing with the blossoming hope. Could he really choose this moment over everything he had known? A sliver of fear clawed at him. As the sunlight faded, a beautiful tapestry of color remained in front of them, a reminder of the possibilities that awaited. Would he be able to take the leap? Would the strangers he had begun to care for be worth stepping into the unknown? He took a deep breath, the fading light reflecting his swirling thoughts. There was beauty in taking chances. But unpredictability came with its own set of fears, and as he glanced at the stranger, who looked at him with open expectation, Tom had to wonder, was this the moment that would define his path forward, or just another day passing him by? Tom stood amidst the kaleidoscope of colors they had created, the warmth of laughter wrapping around him like a gentle embrace. The sun was sinking, casting long shadows, but bathing them all in a glow that felt different this time, a promise of hope intertwined with community. As he watched the stranger let go, paint swirling from their fingertips, it sparked a flame deep within him. "I could choose this," Tom murmured, almost to himself. "I could choose joy, choose to stay and explore this connection." In that instant, he knew he had to step away from the doubts that had shadowed his mind for so long. "Let's keep this going," he called to the group, his heart pounding with newfound determination. "Today is about celebrating who we are, not just our art but each other." The children cheered, throwing up their paintbrushes in glee, their eyes sparkling with excitement. The stranger looked surprised, eyes widening like they'd just been offered a glimpse of a dream that had long been buried. Tom walked over, placing a hand on their shoulder. An unspoken commitment formed between them. "Let's do this together. Create something beautiful that tells our story," Tom said, his voice steady and warm. Suddenly, the figure nodded, a faint smile breaking through the trepidation. "I'd love that," they replied softly, as if tasting the promise of acceptance after so long. Jake chimed in. "Can we make it a celebration?" like a festival of art and music, where everyone in the neighborhood joins in. Mia's enthusiasm bubbled over. Yeah, we can invite friends, set up a space for everyone to showcase their creativity, like we did today. Tom couldn't contain his smile. The joy radiated from his children, a pure expression of their best selves. Let's do it, he agreed, the very weight of the world lifting as possibilities unfolded like the petals of blooming flowers. As the plans began to swirl around them, music, art, laughter, and friendship, Tom felt a wave of excitement wash over him. Would they gather everyone in a giant embrace of creativity? Would this be the moment they all stepped into the light, leaving behind the scars of inhibition? Days ticked by in a blur of preparations, each moment echoing with the energy and laughter that had returned to their family. The yard transformed once more, vibrant decorations draping the fences, canvas swathes splattered with colors and sunflowers lining the walkways. Every corner echoed with the sounds of mingled laughter and eager conversations, the air thick with anticipation. As families began to arrive for their festival, Tom felt the familiar blend of anxiety and exhilaration bubble beneath the surface. Would they accept their creativity? Would they rally around this community? As he made his way toward the crowd, filled with friends, old and new, he caught sight of the stranger, now fully engaged and joyful, painting alongside Mia and Jake. It took Tom's breath away. This is what it's all about, he thought, clenching his fists with a sense of resolve. So, when it was finally time for Jake to take center stage, his guitar gripped in sweaty palms, Tom's heart raced with pride. The crowd grew still, anticipation buzzing like electricity in the air. "Hey, everyone!" Jake shouted, voice cracking with nerves yet infused with excitement. "Today isn't just about us. It's about all of us." Tom watched, breath held, as Jake's fingers danced over the strings, notes spilling out like music from the very essence of his soul. Each chord resonated deep within the crowd, pulling people together. And then, with a familiar drawl, Mia stepped forward, paintbrush poised. "Let's make something beautiful together," she called, inviting others to join her, adults and children alike. In that moment, Tom felt everything align. The fears that had once bound him were crushed beneath the vibrant energy. They were here, together, casting aside the mold society had imposed on them, embracing authentic freedom. As laughter erupted, music swelled, and colors twirled like twinkling stars, Tom's heart brimmed with vivid gratitude. He understood now that true wealth wasn't in the accolades or possessions. It was in the connections, the voices found, the laughter shared, and the courage to stand together. At the heart of their garden of dreams, beneath a canopy of stars, Tom knew their journey had transformed. They were a family now, unbroken, vibrant, and full of life. "Dad?" Mia's voice pulled him back to the present, and he turned to see her painting with the stranger, colors blending effortlessly. "Yes, my beautiful artist?" "I'm really happy, Dad. This feels perfect," she said, beaming. Tom chuckled, heart swelling. "Me too, Mia. All of it." And in that rich tapestry of life and art, laughter and acceptance, the shadows of yesterday disappeared into the light of today. Later that night, surrounded by friends and the murmur of newfound family, Tom looked up at the stars, wishing on each one, knowing he finally had a home built on love, where creativity, authenticity, and joy flourished anew. It was here he realized tomorrow would take care of itself. All he needed was to celebrate today. And just like that, he whispered a silent promise to himself. "I will always choose the light." As you reach the end of this inspiring chapter, remember, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support our creativity. Comment below with your thoughts on this transformation and how art has changed your life. And please, Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this joy in their lives. Let's keep this community thriving. Don't wait, not even one more second, to show your support.